Learning. Why is the most important skill? The problem with the education system. Unschooling and how to enhance communication skills. The most important skill that we can learn today is learning how to learn. This is because that learning can help you enhance every facet of your life. Learning, unlearning, and relearning. Applying what we know. Applying what you know can lead to skill acquisition, but that first requires learning. If you want to be healthier, wealthier, or have great relationships, it's going to require some form of learning. Our ancestors would be educated at home through close proximity or family business. Modern schools were created back in the 1850s. And the goal back then was to keep the kids busy while the parents were gone at work. This is like when factories were made and things like that. The system was designed to create factory workers and obedient citizens. It teaches you what to think and not how to think, and it tends to be a one-size-fits-all system. Horace Mann was the person who created the system, and it was actually adopted off the Prussian system. One of the goals of the system was to focus on external things, and we kind of lost our ability to critical think. Now, what are the 4 stages of learning? Well, it goes to unconscious incompetence, which is basically the stage that you don't know what you don't know. Then it leads to conscious incompetence, which means you now know what you don't know, leading to conscious incompetence, which means you start doing the thing, like you're in process, but you're not very good at it. And then lastly, we have unconscious competence, which means you don't have to think about it anymore. You're just great at the thing. You've built the habits. So what's the concept of unschooling? So this is empowering kids on what, when, or if they learn on a particular topic. In other words, the learner is not being controlled. It's different from homeschooling because it's not about gathering a bunch of textbooks and learning at home just like you do at school. Instead of being learned that's not in the context of it being learned, it's more so about solving real world problems, finding out what your kids' passions are, and equipping them with the tools that they need in order to pursue it. So what are things that inhibit the process of learning? Number 1 is multitasking, which is actually not something that is actually possible. The brain can only focus on one thing at a time, so what we're really doing is task switching. Number 2 is digital outsourcing, which is when we outsource our brains to our devices and we kind of lose our capacity to do the thing. If we don't use it, we lose it. Not to say we can't use technology, but foregoing our brains is not a good idea. Number 3 is too much knowledge, not enough wisdom. There's information everywhere these days, but the question is, are we really applying it in our own lives? It's not just about seeing or hearing something, but actually putting it into practice. There's a difference between knowing something and experiencing it. Number 4 is distraction. All the notifications, all the social media, entertainment, like our brain is always distracted. We're always in training, so the question is, what are we focused on? What we focus on will determine the direction that we go. And also just the ability to be in silence is very important as well. Because everything that we learn is actually being processed during that time. So how to learn faster? Neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to adapt. The brain has the ability to do this as long as it's alive. We used to think that it wasn't possible until after a certain age, but we know that's not true. It's most active till about 25, but then it still works. We just need to have the ability to focus, do hard things, and sleep, which is how this happens in the first place. Next, we have an acronym called FAST, which is a learning method I learned from the renowned learning expert Jim Quick. And FAST stands for forget. So when you're focusing on something, actually forget the things that you already know. Because when we're open, it's much more easier to learn. And also forgetting about the distractions. So the A is ask. Ask questions. The questions that we ask while we're learning will guide the direction that which we go. So what can I learn from this? How can I apply this to what I already know? The S is for state. All learning is state dependent. So the better state of mind that we're in, the easier it is going to be to learn. Like, if we're in a bored state, it's not going to really stick, the information. We're actually excited to learn something and we know why we're doing it. It's much more better learning state. Lastly is T, which is teach. And teaching something is the best form of learning, actually. When you teach it, you get to learn it twice. And it's a whole another skill, and it takes much more to actually teach it. And to actually ingrain the information a lot more. Last time we're throwing a tip, like, I feel like this is an underutilized resource, and this is just go to your local library. I remember, like, when I was 18 years old, like, I used to read a book a day. And I would just go to the local library, and they had a system where you can order books from any library in the state. I'm in Michigan, and I can pretty much get any type of book that I wanted. So any book I wanted, I could just get for free, and if the library didn't have it, they would order it for free from another library in that state. So if you have that, and you really want to buy books, like, use this resource. Last section is nootropics, which is cognitive enhancers from nature to help us focus and memory and all the cognitive processes. They have very low side effects. The difference between those and smart drugs is that smart drugs are drugs. And again, like all drugs, they come with side effects, and they're really direct effects because everything in the body is interconnected. Maybe they have their place, but this can be used as substances to enhance what we already do with our own brain. Number 1 is methylene blue, which is actually traditionally a fish tank cleaner. It's been widely studied for cognitive function, memory, attention span, and it's actually a very potent antiviral. Taking this about 30 minutes before sunlight or photobiomodulation, light therapy is actually very beneficial, and it helps amplify the process. Very synergistic for the mitochondria in regards to light. And take 1 to 4 kilograms per pound body weight. Next is lion's mane, which is a mushroom that looks like a bundle of neurons. The benefits of this mushroom are vast. It's been specifically studied for the nervous system and cognitive function. It also promotes something called neurogenesis, or the creation of new brain cells. And this is only done in the hippocampus and the olfactory system of the brain. And we have to understand that there are very few things that actually do this. This is one of them. There's many nerve growth factors in here, and this is actually widely used for traumatic brain injuries, help to recover from that. In addition to growing your brain cells, has been shown to help with mood, anxiety, and depression. Those things in about 3,000 milligrams. Next is quality of mind, which is a nootropic multivitamin supplement that has been shown to have many cognitive properties in there. It has choline donors, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties. All these have been shown to work synergistically for the brain in the right amounts, and dosing about 7 capsules. Lastly is royal jelly, which is the compound that queen bees eat. And again, this is shown to be neuroprotective, stimulate neurogenesis. It's actually produced from the glands of the worker bees, and it's like this thick, milky white substance that is designed to stimulate the growth and development of the queen bee. They have great longevity due to this compound, actually used in ancient China and Egypt. Lastly, it helps promote cognitive function, spatial learning, and memory processing.